Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Juliet. In this video I'll be teaching you how to make a simple top. So first, fold your fabric into two using your biggest measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease and 2 inches of allowance. That was what I did here, and then I'm marking my length plus 2 inches. So you're going to cut out two of this, one for the front and the other for the back. Your biggest measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease and 2 inches of allowance. Your biggest measurement for a long top should be your hips. I mean, for most people, it's their hip measurement. And your length, you add 2 inches to it, like I did the first piece. So let's say your length is 30, you add 2 inches to that, making 32. So I'm going to place the two pieces on top of each other. One would serve as your back piece, the other as your front piece. So I place the two on top of each other, as you can see. Make sure they are aligned properly. So first I marked 3 inches, and then I marked half of my shoulder measurements, which is 7. My shoulder is 14 and half of that is 7, which is what I marked. I came down by ½ inch like so and connected to that 3 inches point. That will form my shoulder slope. Then I came down and marked my shoulder measurement again, so I get a straight line. Then I marked my armhole, half of my armhole, which is 8 inches. Connected the lines like so. And then I marked my neck, 4 inches for the width, and then 5 inches for the length. For the front piece, I connected that, as you can see. Then I made a curve to form my neckline, and then I marked the back neck, which is 1½ inches in length, and the width is the same as the front, 4 inches. Connect and curve. I curved the armhole as well. So I went on to mark my vertical measurements, my waistline or half length, and then my hip line. So what I did here was that I marked my bust measurement at this point plus 1 inch is, that's bust divided by 4, 1 inch is, and then 1½ inches for allowance. The same for the waist and the hip line, and I cut. So cutting out the back neckline first, after which I'm going to lift up one one of the pieces which is going to be my front, and I'm cutting my front neckline on only one of the pieces, like you can see. So next we are going to cut the facing. I folded a piece of fabric like so, and then I placed my front piece on it. So the folded part of this piece of fabric is aligning with the folded part of my front piece. I don't know if I'm making sense. So I'm tracing out the neckline. Yeah, and then my shoulder, and then I'm going to mark 3.5 inches down, and then on the shoulder and somewhere in the middle, then I connect all the points together, and that will form my front facing. Cut that out. You're going to align them like this later on and join together. So I'm putting another piece. This is going to be for the back facing. So the back is going to have an opening about 5 inches from the neckline down. So the facing is going to be more than 5 inches from that point. You see. So like the front, I use 3.5. So for the back, I'm going to use 8 inches from that point. So I just make a curve because I don't need 8 inches round. So from that 8 inches, I just make a curve to the shoulder side, and that's it. And I cut. That's it. So I'm measuring round my armhole. I'm going to use that to cut my sleeve. Folding my fabric into two, and then making sure it's up to what I got on my armhole. So I measured 12 inches all the way. So I'm going to put a fabric on fold using 12, that's 12, and another 12, that is 24 in total. And then my sleeve length plus extra 2 inches that I will use to fold it later on. Making sure it's up to the 12 that I need. So I'm marking my sleeve on the open end. This end you're seeing here is the open end. I came down by 4 inches, and then I made a curve like so to form my sleeve. So I'm going back to measure to that 12 inches point. It's not going to be the same again, it's going to be slightly more. So that is my 12 inches point, I marked it, and then I'm going to mark my sleeve round plus extra 2 inches of seam allowance, and I'm connecting it to that point like so. So I'm going to use this to cut the second sleeve. I just place it on top of my fabric and cut out the same thing. So here's my front piece again. I'm placing the facing on it right sides together. So the right side of the facing on top of the right side of the front piece. So pinning it round, I'll take it to my machine and like that. Same thing for the back. I ironed it so I'll know exactly where the center is. So I'm going to do the same thing, pin round the neckline, placing right sides together as well. So from that point I came down by 5 inches, and then I marked it. What I'm going to do now is take it to my machine, sew from the neckline round down to that 5 inches line I drew, and then back up, forming like a sharp V, and then back up and then to the other side of my neckline. I don't know if you understand. From my neckline down to that point, back up to the other side of my neckline. That way to give me a clean opening at the back. So I've sewn the front one. I'm going to notch, making sure my scissors don't cut through the sewing that I made. So I'm going to iron this now. That's it, looking clean. Then the back piece, I sewed it as well. I'm going to notch round the neckline and then cut open that V, the 5 inches down for my opening. Please make sure you don't cut past where you sew, just very close to it but not past it. I'm using my scissors to bring out the edges properly, and I'll give it a good press. See, it's looking clean. So I've ironed it, and now I'm going to join the shoulders together. I'm placing my front shoulder on top of the back shoulder, right sides together. So one shoulder on top of another, and then I turned one facing to the other side, such that I have one shoulder in between one facing and one shoulder piece. See, I just hope you understand. Yes, I'm just going to go sew on the shoulder like that. I also folded it in a bit so it will enable me use my hemming gum to gum it down later on. So I'm going to fold it in like so, and then place my hemming gum underneath and iron, and it's going to hold it in place. So I just did that, and this is how it's looking. I also went ahead to put a hook and eye on the top part, the tiny hook, the brow hook. That is what I used. And then my sleeve, I'm going to be attaching my sleeve now. I'm matching the center of my sleeve to the shoulder point. I'm going to pin it all the way around. So after sewing my sleeve, I pinned my front and back piece together as you're seeing here, and then I folded it into two. So I'm going back to draw my vertical measurements again, my waist and my hip line, and then I'm going to mark my bust measurements at this point, divided by 4 plus 1 inch is my waist measurement here, divided by 4 plus 1 inch is my hip measurement at this point, divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease. So there's no zip, so the ease is very important, so you can go in and out of your shirt or your top. And then the sleeve, I'm marking my sleeve round divided by 2. My sleeve round is 10 inches divided by 2, that is 5. And then I'm connecting it from that point to the armhole point. So turning to the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Mark out my waist, my half length, and then my hip line. I'm working with 24 inches. And then I go back and mark my bust divided by 4 plus 1 inch of ease. My half length divided by 4 plus 1 inch of ease. My hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease. Connecting that. And then I mark my sleeve too. Sleeve round divided by 2. Connect, connect, connect. So I'm going to sew on these lines all the way, the two sides. I've done that already. I'm going to iron it. Then fold. You notice I didn't sew all the way down. I stopped at the hip point because the sides are going to be open at the end of the day. So I'm going to be folding that in and then hemming the down of my top. So as you can see, I already folded in. I folded the sides in and then I hemmed the bottom part. The two sides are open. So that is it for this top. Just very simple to make, right? Thank you for watching. If you learned anything from this video, please give it a like. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. If you are yet to subscribe, please click the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thank you for watching.